Okay, this is cis1103, week 5. Open it on your laptop, please, and you can follow also on the blackboard. Today we are going to continue our discussion about protocols and addressing IP addresses on network. Okay. We agreed last time that the primary purpose or objective of any network is to provide us with a method to communicate computers or devices to do a useful function for us, such as sharing files, sharing a printer, authentication. Okay. Each network or all communication methods has three elements. It has source and destination. In our network, we call it sender and receiver. Okay. And it has the transmission medium. Okay. Anybody, before you start talking to anybody, you will need to know what are the rules, some agreements, some understanding. If you meet somebody, you need to know, first of all, which language to talk with him. Okay. So this is what we call communication principles and protocols, or protocols. So protocols are rules that are followed for a message to be successfully delivered and understood. Okay. So you need to ask yourself, the protocol will facilitate for you what method of communication, which language. Do you need to confirm the message after it is received? You know, when you are talking on the radio, you know, you talk to somebody. Do you hear me? Do you understand? صح؟ وأنت تتكلم فاهمني تفهم علي صح? Sometimes. Why you say that? Because you want to make sure that you understand. But some communication, some protocols, they don't confirm. They just send. When you are watching YouTube, it does not confirm. It just start downloading, right? Okay. Email is different. We'll talk about email later. So these are the protocol characteristics. Please read them. Look at your PowerPoint. Read these protocol characteristics. Okay. First of all, the message format. It is the specific format or structure of the message. The message size. How much is the message size? The timing, the speed, the encoding. Because the message is converted into a signal. Or maybe sometimes it is compressed even. Okay? Like when you are using fiber, your message is converted into pulses of signal. Okay. Encapsulation. Each message transmitted on a network must include a header. I will give you an example. When you want to send a letter, you put the letter inside envelope, صح? On the envelope, you type to whom you are sending the message or the letter. So the envelope is the encapsulation. Encapsulation is like putting something inside envelope. And then you add to it some information. We call this information the header. Message pattern is, does your message need acknowledgement or not? So communication standards, they are a set of rules that determine how something must be done or how communication can be done. Networking and internet standards ensure that all devices connecting to the network implement the same set of rules or protocols, okay, in the same manner. Using standards, it is possible for different types of devices to send information to each other over the internet. Okay, Shabab, understood? Salam. The two models that became the standards are OSI, Open System Interconnection, and the TCP/IP model. OSI was developed by ISO. The OSI reference model, one of the most popular models, okay, helps network engineers, network administrators to define how data communication occur on a computer network from one computer to another, regardless of where the computer is or what software it is running. This is the OSI model to give you understanding of the network. Very useful. It has 7 layers. 7 layers, and you need to know them. Each of these layers communicate to the layer adjacent to it and is this equivalent layer to the receiving device. It was created by ISO, the International Organization for Standards, and it is represented in the US by the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, ANSI. These are the 7 layers. Please look at them, visualize them. You need to know these layers and the function of each layer. Yeah, we'll take it later. Okay. The function of each layer. So look at the layers. The first 3 layers are called upper layers. They are application layer, presentation layer, session layer. Application is layer 7. So we go from top down, okay? From down up, sorry. This is layer number 7. This is layer number 1. Okay? Presentation layer is layer number 6. Okay, good. No, you need to know the name. Yeah, there is some people, they like to, please, you need to remember, some people, to help them remember, they will take the first letter and put a sentence. Okay, you can. And if some people say, please do not tell, or yeah, like that, you know, you can put your own word. All right. The OSI reference model, 7 layers. So application layer talks to application layer. Application layer communicate with application layer. Application layer communicate with the layer next to it. It does not jump over and go to session layer, no. They go one by one, like in the military. Okay. Encapsulation, as I told you, in each layer will add something, some information to the letter, to the message. Okay. So when data goes through the OSI model, it goes through a process called encapsulation. Really, like when you put a letter inside the envelope, you add some information. So each layer will add some information. Okay. Encapsulation is taking the data from previous layer, adding a header to it. The header and trailer and data that is being passed down to the next layer is called PDU by the originating device. On the receiving layer, it is called SDU. So please, this is important. Okay, SDU and PDU. All right. It's mentioned here. I just mentioned it. The header and data that is being passed down to the next layer is referred to by the sender as PDU. By the receiver as DU. Okay. So it's a way to recognize. يعني I'll tell you something. إذا أنت مثلا you are somewhere. If someone is coming to you, listen. الحين I am sitting here and someone sitting at the back. If he is walking this side, for me he is coming. For the person there, he is going. نفس الشيء يعني. Okay? Understood? Now the most important thing also here, please, you need to know that in the first three layers, it is called data. In the first three layers, 7, 6, and 5, it is called data. And each layer adds some information, is called header. In the transport layer, the PDU is called segment. Okay? And it adds header. In the network layer, it is called packet. You need to know these names. And also network layer will add header. In the data link layer, the only layer that adds header and trailer. Header and trailer. And the message or the PDU is called frames. Last, in the physical layer, layer number 1, it is bits. It is converted into bits, zeros and ones. Okay? Very good. When it arrives at the receiver, remember there we called it encapsulation. On the receiver side, it's de-encapsulation. You are opening it. De-encapsulation. Okay? So the header and receiver are stripped from the PDU before passing it to the next layer. Shabab, please remember these names. This you will be asked about. You will be asked about it many times. Application layer. The first layer is the application layer. Application layer. معلش سامحونا. Okay, this is very important in the exam, in the quiz 2. This is not coming in quiz 1, but quiz 2, I guarantee you it's coming. In the 4, it is coming. Always they ask you what are the functions, what are the layers, what is the function of each layer. Okay, so let's start with layer. This is layer number 7. Layer number 7. What is the function of layer number 7, application layer? It is the interface between the application, okay, and the network. Okay, it's like the application, you are running something here, and your network, the first layer. All right? And give me some examples of famous protocols in the application layer. They have given you here. SMTP. SMTP stands for what? Yeah, you need to know this. This is used for email. The second one is POP, or Post Office Protocol, also for email. IMAP, also for email. HTTP is used for what? Who can tell me? Browse the internet. Browser, your HTTP. Hypertext. Okay. Hypertext transfer protocol. Your website, you know, the protocol to transfer those. And then we have FTP. I think everybody knows FTP. What is FTP? File transfer protocol for transferring files. Okay. Note here, application don't reside on the application layer. Actually, it sits above the OSI model. يعني هي فوق الموديل. Presentation layer has three functions: formatting or presenting, compression or compressing, and encrypting. This is all done by the presentation layer, number 6. Layer number 5, session layer. I think from the name you can tell. Session, it will start the dialogue. Okay? Start the dialogue between two computers, between source and its destination applications. And it handles the exchange of information to initiate dialogue, keep them active, and to restart sessions that are disrupted or idle. Idle, yani what? You know, idle when you are not using something, it will go to standby or صح? Yeah. Idle?
dialogue.
Dialogue, يعني حوار. Communication. Yes.
Why do we start from layer 7 and then we end from layer 8?
Why? This is how they name it.
Can't we like start from layer 1?
لا, it is to understand. You can, but to make it easy for you to understand the model, you need to go from up down. Okay? After you know it, then you can memorize it from down up. That's up to you. Transport layer, layer number 4. Responsible for the delivery of a message from one process to another. شو يعني process? Process is an application or message program running on a host. Like what? Microsoft Word, email, صح? Telnet, FTP, this is a process application. There are two famous protocols for transport, which are TCP and UDP. TCP and UDP. شباب هون, this side, please, Mr. شو بتسمع الحين؟ اسمعني please. أحسن تعالوا بالنص دائما ها. This side عشان تشوفوا البول. Next class please, شباب here, come this side, everybody. All right? Okay. The most common two protocols are TCP and UDP. Okay. TCP stands for what? Very good. Transport Control Protocol. UDP is User Datagram Protocol, and there are differences between them. I'll tell you about it later on. If the message is too large, the transport layer or the TCP will divide it into smaller chunks. We call it segments. يعني الكمبيوتر بقسمها إلى قطع أصغر بنسميها segments. So the PDU in the transport layer is called segments. صح داتاجرام بس هي we call it segments. لا مكتوبة داتاجرام, you can see there. حتى لو قلت داتاجرام يعني I don't think, maybe they will put it wrong. It is called segment, okay? Segment. The protocol is called user datagram. طيب, if you look at the header of the TCP, look at the information here. We have source process number, destination process number. Any questions? طيب, transport layer. We already talked about transport, and that it is, and we talked about the process or application. To pass data streams to the proper application, the transport layer must identify the target. To do that, they use port numbers. And transport layer use port number like door. This door is for Microsoft for the FTP. There is another door for the HTTP. That door is for Telnet. This is how the transport layer organize the communication. So my HTTP is going through door 80. Okay? Port 80. We call this process-to-process delivery. Okay? So each process that needs to access the network is assigned a port number unique to that host. Port number. And there are some famous port numbers, such as for HTTP, the port number is 80. Process-to-process delivery. Here we have email. If he wants to send email to to another person, it will go to that process. The email will not go to Word. You can open it from email. Okay. Third layer, very important, it's called network layer. And the PDU inside it is called packet. It is responsible for the delivery of individual packets from the source to the destination. And it uses logical addressing. Logical addressing يعني your IP address. IP address. Okay? You see the header? Source IP address, destination IP address. It's all important, even the diagram. Right. What about routing? Routing, the router, you know the router, right? You know your router? When you are sending information from the client to the server, you see, the message can go like this, صح? Like this maybe. And then, or it might go like this, صح? Or it might go like this. So there are different ways. Who decides? The router. Very good. Now we talk about IP address. IP address is a unique address that identifies a device on the internet or local network. IP address has 32 bits. 32 bits. شو يعني البت? Bit is the smallest digit or bit in binary, and it is one digit. And it can be 0 or 1. Cannot be half. 0 or 1. Byte is how many bits in a byte? 8. It's not here they said 7 or 8. Actually, for us, for our book, for our exam, it is 8 bits. So when you are studying, it's 8 bits. What is octet? It is made up of 8 bits. Okay. So IP address is 32 bits divided into 4 octets. This is the octets. Okay. So here, this number here, let's say I want to convert this number. This number is binary. This number is decimal. How did I convert this number here? You go by 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. I have 1 on 16, so it is 16. We will teach you how to convert later. Okay. Have you done any conversion from binary to decimal? Okay. طيب. We said that each octet has 8 bits. If you put 8 bits all once, the maximum number you can get is 255. Why 255? Because if I put here 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. If you add them all together, okay, you want to add them. The number you will get is 255. So if I see an address that has any of the octets above 255, this is invalid. So here, is this address valid or not? This one? Why? Why this one is invalid?
Because I'm support or
What about this one?
valid.
So why is this one invalid?
Because the last number of
645, huh? Very good. Source to destination delivery. When you are sending a message, the router will use the source IP address and the destination IP address to deliver the message. So it will check. The destination address here is what? Can you see it? It is 10. Source is, destination is 10.10.1.1, which is where? This one. This computer here. صح? So the router will route it from this router to this router to here. Okay? So the source and destination IP address will remain the same on the message. يعني انت الحين you wrote a letter, you put it in envelope, والenvelope حطيت عليه sender receiver. Sender هو IP address, source IP address. Receiver, destination IP address. Okay? You put it, you give it to the courier man. The courier will take it to the post office. The post office بعدين بدوها للمطار. المطار الطائرة بدوها للother country. The sender or receiver, is it changed? Logical address is not changed. What will be changed? Something we call physical address. Later on we'll talk. Physical address اللي هو يعني اوكي رسالة صحمة، رسالة من هذا الشخص بس راح تنتقل، راح تروح على المطار، من المطار هذا physical. بس في النهاية اللوجيكال source والدestination are the same. If you remember this example, it will be easy for you to understand the concept. Okay? Now we talk about the data link layer. Data link layer is responsible for the physical addressing. Physical address, or we call it MAC address or NIC address, is the same name. And data link layer is responsible for moving frame from one node, from one hub to the next. And it is using the source and destination MAC address. Look here. This is the source and destination MAC address. By the way, the data link layer is the only layer that adds header and trailer to the message. What is MAC address? MAC address is data link layer. MAC or media access control address is 48 bits divided into 24 bits and 24 bit. By the way, it is 48 bit, but it is written in hexadecimal, and each hex decimal number is actually 4 bits. So if I multiply 4 by 16, sorry, each hexa is 16 bits. So if I multiply 4 by 16, I get 48. صح? If you look here, we have called physical address, they call it. It has two parts. The first 24 bits, known as OUI or organizationally unique identifier, okay? The last 24 bits are the device identifier. That's why you will never find two network cards having the same number. They will be always different. Okay? Any question? Okay, so again, the MAC address is 48 bits. If you represent it in hexadecimal, it is 6 hexadecimal number. Why 6? Because each hexadecimal is 8 bits. What's the total value of 8 bits? 15. Okay. Hex meaning it is 8 bits. Multiply 8 by 6, you get 48 bits. All right. So switch uses MAC address, router uses IP address. Don't forget that, please. The data link layer will do forwarding. The router do routing, right? The routers do routing. Data link layer switch will do forwarding frames. Okay, it will forward frame according to the source and destination MAC address. If you look here, the destination is this one, B, which is this one. So the message will be sent to this computer. The switch will deliver it to this computer because it checked the destination MAC address. Hub to hub delivery, meaning that the message is coming to this router here. We call this a hub. Hub. عارفين الهب يعني قفزة. Hub, like terminal. Okay. So if I ask you from A to F, how many hubs in the road, in the way? Two. 1, 2. لا, two. 2 hubs. واحدة. الثانية بعدين خلاص delivered. 2 routers. Physical layer, the last layer. The physical layer is responsible for sending the bits via wired or wireless transmission. The bits can be transmitted as wavelength, signal يعني, or voltage, voltages, or light, fiber optic cable. Okay. This is the summary of the layers. Here you have on the destination, the message is coming. Let's say someone is working on email. The message will come from layer 7 down to physical, transferred into signal bits on the wire, coming to the switch. The switch will send it. If it is locally in the local area network, it will go to the destination in the local area network, or it will be sent to the router. From the router, it will go to the destination. When it arrives to the destination, it goes from the first layer up to the 7th layer. Any questions?